Okay, so first things first, I have gotten onto Blue Sky. So all of my video descriptions say, "Hey, follow me on Twitter." I'm not on Twitter or X or shitter as some people are calling it now. Yeah, I don't do the Twitter thing anymore. The Nazi in charge has driven me off the platform. So so I'm on Blue Sky now, and if you want to follow me there, then I'm C Darklock as usual. cdarklock.bsky.social. And as you can see, I don't have a lot of followers because I almost never have a lot of followers. But I've been through this before. I got knocked back to 0 followers on Twitter just a couple of years ago, and had to start over on that. But then once I got myself built up to a couple hundred followers, I think I got myself up around, yeah, I was closing up on 500, and then Elmo happened. So that was a problem, and then so now I'm over on Blue Sky. I'm actually probably easier to interact with on Tumblr. That's more my crowd of people. But if you're looking for me on social media, this is where I am now, is Blue Sky and Tumblr. And let me go ahead and throw that out there. And I want to talk about something before we get into the main stuff today, and that is that starting tomorrow, or starting in like an hour for me, we're entering Inktober, and I am prepped. I got myself some pens, and I got myself a brand new pristine sketchbook, absolutely empty sketchbook. So I'm gonna do that shit this year. I've never done Inktober before, but I just figured it would be something a little bit more interesting because, God, I'm tired of working on hands. I mean, we're gonna finish up chapter 2 of drawing dynamic hands tonight, but I'm tired of hands and I want to do something else for a while. So I'm gonna go do the Inktober thing over the course of October, and then November is always rough because I always make at least an initial cut at doing NaNoWriMo, which is National Novel Writing Month, and I typically get like 20 or 30,000 words in on whatever I'm doing, and then I lose focus and lose interest. So I get like halfway done, and the thing is that I'm a pretty accomplished writer, and I've done a lot of writing, so it's not hard for me to write. And that 20 to 30,000 words typically happens in a week or two. So I don't feel this pressure to get finished because I'm like, oh, I got 3 weeks to finish this shit. What the hell? And yeah, it's always within the realm of possibility. And I have also, on one occasion, I was hired to write 100 500-word articles. And I thought, I wonder if I could do them all in a day. And the answer was yes, I could. And at the same time, no, I couldn't. I did get the 50,000 words of articles written, but I was not happy with them. So even though I cranked them all out in that one day, about half of them I had to throw out and redo over the course of the next 2 days. I had to kind of slow down and take my time and go back and edit them, which got them delivered on time. But it just wasn't worth doing doing all 50,000 words in a day. But because I've done that, because I've done 50,000 words in a day, and I went, that's not good enough, and then I rounded it out over the course of the next 2 days. When you can write 50,000 words in 3 days, it's hard to feel pressure for a writing month that's like, write 50,000 words in 30 days. 30 days, that's a weekend. It's so it's hard for me to feel the pressure on Nano, and because it's hard for me to feel the pressure, I typically don't get stuff done. And it's probably going to be different with Inktober because, like, the prompt for day 1 is dream. fuck do you draw a dream? I don't know where to begin with that. I'm not sure what that is going to look like, and that's kind of confusing to me. But anyway, to move on to what I was thinking about for after this, I've been talking for quite some time about how I really need to get more work done on my fundamentals. And because I need to get work done on my fundamentals, I've had some recommendations from Tumblr, and a number of people told me that I should do this draw a box thing. And I don't know. I guess I will. I mean, you may or may not have noticed that the pens I got are the Staedtler number 10 pigment liners that are shown on the front page there. So those are the exact same pens they recommend in the intro picture. So I will be giving that a shot. I'll be trying to get through that. But that's a long-term thing, you know. That's like, they say that it typically takes a year or two, and some people get it done in 5 months. And I'm looking at it, and I've kind of gone through the website a little bit, and I'm like, I don't feel like this is something that would take 5 months, but they do kind of throttle everything back. And I did go through some of the intro stuff, and they go over some of the basics. And I was really kind of struck with how much of the stuff they said in their lesson 0 is stuff that I've recorded at the beginning of video training courses in the past. You know, it's things that I've told people where I'm like, you know how I tell you to do this and do that and do the other, and you're likely to be tempted to go, oh, I'll just skip the first 2 parts. I'll just go straight to the last part. Don't skip parts and go to the last part. Those first 2 parts are important. They might not be important for you might not think they're important, but they are. They're important. You need to do those things. You need to remember that those things have to be done. You need to know how to do them. And one of the biggest problems I used to run into with clients is I would tell them, you need to do these 3 things. You need to do this, that, and the other. And then they'd come back and they'd go, it didn't work. And I'd go, okay, well, did you do this? No. Did you do that? No. Did you do the other? Yeah, I did that, but I did it a little bit differently. Okay, so you didn't do what I told you to do. You did something a little bit different in just like the last part of it, and now you're surprised that it didn't work? What are you paying me for? And that's very frustrating. That's the reason I don't really do coaching and instruction stuff anymore. And I have some stuff that I want to do, but you know, it's going to be something like Draw a Box, where it's all on a website and it's just customers and I don't interface directly with them. It's not going to be like, they have this whole thing with review, and you get like critique on your stuff, and I'm not going to do anything like that. The instructional stuff that I'm going to be putting up later on is not going to be this kind of thing. And it's not going to be art related. It's going to be business related. It's the same old stuff that I was doing, but it's going to be updated with a bunch of additional information from what I learned doing this whole art and video games thing. Because I did have a very reasonable criticism several years back that the only thing I had ever used any of the techniques in my coaching program to do was to sell coaching. But that's true, because that's what I did. I mean, by the time I built the system so that I could coach people to do it, and I used those techniques. That's the thing that I did, was coach. So obviously what I was going to sell with it was my coaching services, but it's very valid to observe that that the processes of this whole system had only ever been used to sell coaching, and did they work for anything else? Well, we're going to find out about that, and I'm still in some very early stages of this. one of the things that I'm finding, because I chose art, is that you can be stuck in those first two phases, the phases where you're just getting your feet and learning what you're doing. You can be stuck there a really, really long time. And that can be very frustrating. So this is one of the reasons, like, because the former work that I was doing, I just kind of hand waved this, and I said, you sell a thing that you already know how to do, and people are like, well, what if you don't know how to do anything? Then go learn how to do something. And I'm in the go learn how to do something stage of this particular project right now, but being in that go and learn how to do something stage, man, do you spend a long time here. I had forgotten just how long it takes to learn new things. And it's very easy to hand wave that, which is precisely what I did for the longest time. I just went, hey, if you got no skills that you could sell, go learn some new skills. That's a taller order than I was giving it credit for. Of course, part of it is that, I've chosen a thing to learn and sell that most people do for their whole lives. And it's not that I don't have anything else I could sell. It's not that I don't know any other things, but I chose this particular thing and I'm staying focused on it. And it's rough. And there's going to be some alteration to some of those early lessons around that, because it really does take a long time depending on what you're selecting, depending on what you're working on. But I'm in a place where I can do that. I can work on stuff for a long time, and I don't have to worry about it. So so I'm going to keep that focus, and I'm going to keep working on it. And that said, I'm going to do the Inktober thing, and I'm going to do the NaNoWriMo thing, and then I'm going to start working on the Drawbox stuff. And I've also come to a conclusion about how the seasons of Sketch Weekly are going to be organized. Basically, I am going to flip the seasons between Halloween. I'm going to flip the seasons on the first Saturday after Halloween. Okay, so October 31st is going to be the changeover day. Like, the last Sketch Weekly will be on the Saturday before or on the 31st, and then the next season will start. So we'll be starting the if I look at the calendar, we're going to be starting the oh wow, we're going to start season 3 on my birthday on the 5th. So the last, will it be the 5th? Well, it may as well. It'll be the night of the 4th. So yeah, the last episode of this season is going to be on the 28th. So we got 4 more episodes this season, and that actually works well, because that means that I can, if I start doing Inktober every year, then we can go over Inktober as it's going on. I don't know that I want to do like live Inktober updates or anything. I mean, obviously, I'll put the work that I do up on my DeviantArt, but I don't know if I want to do like time lapses on. I don't know if I want to do time lapses on YouTube or any kind of discussion of what I'm doing during Sketch Weekly. I kind of want to keep Sketch Weekly focused on other stuff, but I'm not sure exactly what I'm going to focus on in the coming month. I'm tired of hands. I want to do something other than hands. So I want to leave hands kind of percolate for a while, and I want to work on something else, but I'm not sure exactly what. And I don't know. That's kind of where stuff is at this point. And yeah, that's like I've been talking about that shit for 15 minutes. So we've goddamn chair. So we've been sitting here doing everything but sketching for 15 minutes, and we're here and we're looking at the little finger and thumb relationships. Oh God, I got to rant about something too. I went to put my copy of Bern Hogarth's Drawing Dynamic Hands into the classic art collection on my Kindle, and my Kindle told me you can't do that. You can't put a local file into a collection anymore. So I had to take every single local file on my Kindle and upload all of them into the cloud, which took hours. I had to track them all down on the computer. And then after I did that, I had to go through and individually delete all of the local copies from the Kindle so they wouldn't be in the library there. And then when I went to add stuff back into the collections, you can't have local collections anymore. Your collections have to be in the cloud. So I had to copy all of my collections from local collections to cloud collections, delete the local collections, rename the cloud collections to get rid of the number 2 at the end of every single name. And then I had to go through and put everything into it again manually. And that was very frustrating and very annoying. And it's literally a case of the people who made a piece of software decided they were going to change how it worked. And they provided no tools to make migration easy. They did not give you a single thing to say, hey, would you like us to copy all of your collections up to the cloud and remove the local ones? That's obviously what most people want to do. Most people want to put all of their files up in the cloud, put all of the new cloud copies of the files into their collections, remove all of the local copies. That's obviously what people want to do. And Amazon did absolutely none of it. They just went, no, fuck you, that doesn't work anymore. Do all the work yourself. Oh, no, you can't select more than one thing at a time. It doesn't work that way here. And that was very frustrating. But I was really annoyed with that. Anyway. So Hogarth says some stuff here that I don't entirely agree with. To go directly over what he says the little finger and thumb have an affinity for each other. The palm is open and spread wide, and lines are drawn from the tip of the thumb to the tip of the little finger at the outside edges. These lines will be at a 90-degree angle from each other and converge at the point where the palm joins the arm. Is that 90 degrees? I think that's more than 90 degrees. A line can be drawn from this point to the end of the middle finger. The 0 point, he's talking about this right here, can be drawn to the end of the middle finger. Okay, and he says if the thumb is moved across the open palm, the movement will form a hyperbolic arc to the point of contact with the base of the little finger. Okay, I kind of get that. The dorsal palm knuckle is directly under the thumbnail on the dorsal side of the hand. Oh yeah, it's right there. Okay, that makes sense. The sketch at left, which is this one right here, illustrates that when the fingers are expressing number 3, the thumb crosses and rests on the second knuckle of the little finger, actually lining up with the palm knuckle beneath it, as if the little finger were not in the way. That's pretty accurate. Note that the vector line from the outside of the little finger and from the outside of the thumb converge at the 0 point and are perfectly equal in distance from each other. But they're not. I mean, my hand folds an awful lot. I mean, my thumb doesn't just come over, my hand folds in half. I don't know, that's a little bit odd. And the sketch of open palm at right, that's this one over here, shows how the little finger can be brought downward across the palm and will almost touch the 0 point. This is the only finger which will align with this point. Really? Because, I mean, I can feel that these are touching almost the exact same place. This touches almost the exact same place. And this one doesn't. But, like, all 3 of these fingers, it feels like they're all touching the same point. Right there in the palm, like right here. That's where they're all touching. So that feels really weird to me that he says, no, this is the only finger that does that. All of my fingers do that. And my thumb like really seriously folds in. Like it comes all the way in. I don't know. That's maybe my hands are just weird or something, but I don't know, that feels odd to me. And I'm not sure. I'm not sure what or how I'm supposed to sketch in response to that. I think maybe this right here, this is that sort of bit right there. That's hard for me to really kind of get a handle on what that's for. How to foreshorten that. And then you've got this kind of, you got this foreshortening thing here. And then the ring finger is kind of, you can see how the ring finger is kind of being pulled down because of that connection that we've talked about with the tendons in the hand. We've got that right there. Having the little finger pulled down that far is also pulling this finger down. But yeah, I thought that was a little weird. And then there is the finding little finger and thumb relationships. I'm not sure how useful these things are. I'm kind of looking at these, and I feel like these last few pages of chapter 2 are much more advanced. They're much farther along than I am. You've got this thing here. I mean, this is useful right here. The bit where if you put your hand down, the thumb and the little finger tend to be at about the same height. That's kind of useful if you're going to draw that kind of pose. And then you've got the other three fingers there, and he's got a kind of he's got a phase sequence here as well. So he's got kind of thumb, little finger, and the ends line up, and the angles are about equal. He says if the fingers are fully outstretched, there'll be a 180-degree angle between the tip of the finger and the tip of the thumb. That's about right. The thumb and little finger are brought together over the midline of the palm with the other three fingers outstretched. The fingertips will meet as if both fingers were the same length. Yeah, that's useful. This relationship can also be seen in the sketch at lower right with a hand shown from a foreshortened rear view. Two positions of the thumb and little finger relationship are shown, blah, blah, blah. And again, I mean, that's useful little bits of information, but I'm not sure how useful they are. It's the same with like fingers in stress positions. When you look at fingers in stress positions, I don't know how useful this information actually is. Note how the little finger and thumb appear to be tips of symmetrical horns lying at the end of a great wave-like arc. Like this. I mean, I sort of get that, and it's got that same general sort of, and that wave motion there, and then just like, I can see the value of thinking about it this way, but I really kind of feel like I've got bigger problems than this in my efforts to draw hands. And I don't know that this is going to be particularly helpful. I mean, maybe. Then you've got the finger and the second finger and the third finger. I guess that would help in a kind of drawing an outstretched hand, and that's not an unusual pose either. That's very much the kind of thing that that you'd be likely to draw. I guess that actually does have a substantial amount of application. Just sort of have to... I have to have the scenario that calls for it. It's still a crappy hand, but I guess that sort of reaching and stretching motion, that's the kind of thing that you would have to draw now and then. You're reaching out like that. I'm so tired of doing hands. I've been drawing hands and drawing hands, and it just, I don't seem to be getting any better at it. I mean, intellectually, I know that I'm better at it, but I still don't feel like, I've gotten better at it, you know? Like there are things I can draw now, hands, that I couldn't draw just a couple of weeks ago, but still don't feel like I do a good job with them. I don't feel like I communicate the correct positions and situations, and I feel like I have a tendency to want to flatten out the fingers, but when I try to go, okay, I don't want them to be flattened out, I want them to be thicker, I don't feel like I do a good job thickening them out and making them look like real fingers. I do feel like I have a better handle on the connection of the wrist to the hand. I feel like that I have a better handle on, no pun intended, and a better idea of where the thumb goes exactly, and where the fingers are. But I don't feel like I do a good job on any of this. Like the fingers should be about that long. I still don't feel like I feel like I'm better able to see what's wrong with the hands that I'm drawing, but I'm not better able to fix it, which is frustrating. So I don't know where to go with that. Then they have special characteristics. Special characteristics is kind of got whole. They tend to curve inward, and I guess that's sort of. I guess that's sort of interesting. This may account for the consistent undercurve of the arms. As the arms move forward in action, the tension projects the hands outward from the lines of the arms. And I don't really get what he's driving at with this. I don't see the I don't really see the application. The fingernails of receding fingers rotating from an almost straight-on view. These seem very special purpose, just like little observations he's made that that I don't really see much application for at the moment. Probably because I'm just not that far along. The face and the arm. There's a, You remember that old trick you used to pull in school where you'd say, hey, do you know if your hand's bigger than your face, you have cancer? You know, people put their hand up to their face, you smack their arm so they hit themselves in the face. Because that's fun. This is an interesting one, though, right here. Okay? So if you look at this, you can see that, like, the fingers come down to here, and then right at the eyes is the beginning of the hand. So this is the midpoint of the face right here. If you recall, we've been talking all along here that the length of the palm is the same as the length of the middle finger. Okay? So from the hairline to the bridge of the nose and the top of the eyes, well, that's the length of the middle finger. It's also the length of the hand. And then on top of that, you look over here and you can see that they've got the hand and the palm and then the thumb stretching down along here to reach this way. This is your foot. And your foot is the same length as the inside of your arm. If you put your foot up to the inside of your arm, that's how long it is. So not only is this a foot, but this right here, this struck me as about how much the heel projects outward from the ankle. So if you're drawing a foot, here's your ankle, here's your heel. It's the same basic proportions, okay? And you've got kind of this halfway point here, which is where the knuckles are, even though your toe knuckles are really more like right here, okay? The ball of the foot is right here, and that's about halfway along. So you've got this kind of, you come back to the ball of the foot right there, and there's the big toe. And if we put that right alongside of the hand, right there, okay, that comes back. And then here we have the heel, which means your foot is a little bit longer than your face. And I thought that was kind of interesting. I don't know how useful it is, but, you know, and maybe, you know, what we're actually looking at here is like the distance to the top of the head. Maybe the head is like roughly the same length as the foot. And if we were to, if we pull down some guidelines there. Yeah, that would just about account for it. So if we put one there and one there, yeah. So I guess you can think of it as the entire top of the head. And then you could actually kind of turn this on its head. And if you thought of it in terms of the foot from the other direction. So if you were to, let's clear that off. If you were to start off and go, okay, here's the, not one, guys, I never want to snap. Why does it always turn? So like, here's your toe right here. Here's the ball of the foot right there. And then your foot comes up here. And here's your ankle. Right at the hairline. Then the heel would come back about as far as the top of the head. And if we were to take this and we were to move the layer and we were to bring it over here, then that would be about the same length. And let's rotate that. And that ends up being about the same length, just like that. That's another kind of proportional shortcut that we can look at right there. Is that your foot falls into that same general category. Not sure how useful that is either. I'm so tired of working on this stuff. And then you've got hand and face, where they talk about where the hand fits in terms of on the face. And sideways, sideways it fits between the hair and the eyebrows, and between the chin and the bridge of the nose. So this bit right here would stick out between two hands. And that's usually, if you've got two characters and one of them has its hand over somebody's mouth, its hand on their head, then their eyes can stick out. Their eyes and nose would be sticking out. And that would be useful somehow, I guess. And that's all of the Hogarth stuff that I've got. This particular collection. So let me come down here and turn off the guides because I don't care about the guides. So that's chapter 2. That's we've done chapter 2 now, and chapter 3 is actually really cool, because when you get into chapter 3, it's here that you really start talking about the actual anatomy and the bones and all of that sort of stuff, which is kind of the stuff that I enjoy talking about, but I'm also just burned out on hands right now. I don't want to do hands anymore. I'm tired. I want to do something else, and Inktober will help with that. I'll be able to go in and do something else and focus on something different, and that's good. And other than that, I mean, that's where things are at the moment. I'm not doing that great drawing hands. I'm better. The hands still don't look right. Hands are hard. People work on hands for so long, and it takes them such a long time to get good at them. And I'm not there yet. And I feel like some of that will be addressed by the Drawbox stuff, which will help me focus more on the fundamentals and getting that shit done. And the hard part on Drawbox is going to be the 50% rule, which is where you're supposed to spend half of your time working on the lessons and half of your time just drawing for fun. And I don't find myself drawing for fun that much anymore. I mean, it's work. And I guess that's what they're getting at, to kind of do the 50% rule thing, where they're saying, don't just draw for work, don't just draw for practice. And you want to also have a good time with it and enjoy yourself doing it. And I guess I'm going to have to be doing some of that. Because God, did I get burned out just doing hands. And I didn't even do that much of it. I was mostly playing Starfield a month. Because that's how I am, and I know that's how I am. New Bethesda game comes out, I'm lost in it for a month, until I get about 500 hours in it, which is roughly what I have in Starfield at the moment, a little over 500 hours. So I was pretty accurate on how long that was going to take, but now we're going to move into Inktober, and I don't really know what to think about the prompts. Because there's a bunch of stuff. I only took a quick look at the prompts. And the first one is Dream. I have no idea what to do for Dream. Spiders, well, obviously do some spiders. Path, I don't know how to interpret most of these prompts. So I don't really get it. And I'm sort of looking at it going, I'm going to have to figure out some way to get an idea out of these. It's like, some of these seem interesting, but most of them just seem confusing, I'm really annoyed that spicy on the 12th has an E in it. That's not how you spell spicy. What the hell? Probably going to try to draw some porn for that anyway. And I'm going to be doing it in ink, and I don't work in ink. Not a thing that I do. And I know that technically you can, I know that technically you can do this digitally with something that emulates ink, but I really want to do it just like in InkPen to really kind of stick to the notion of it. And I also, I need to start working in ink for the Drawbox stuff, which I'll be starting in early November, around the same time that I'm jumping onto NaNoWriMo. I will probably break the rules on Nano, and I think I'll just continue the manuscript I had last year. Do I have something else I can work on? I do, actually. I have Isekai Apocalypse. I have this idea I had a while back where it's like every time you see an isekai, the guy who gets isekai'd is just like some loser who can't do anything. And then he finds out that the things that he does know how to do are actually useful in this new world that he's come into. And I went, so what if somebody got isekai'd and he's an absolute badass, but all of the skills and things are useless in the new world that he's in? And I was kind of thinking, about how you would approach that. Like the hackneyed example would be like, there's a guy who's an incredible hero in some medieval sort of scenario, and then he gets brought to the modern day world, and nobody cares that you know how to swing a sword and you have your own set of armor and you can ride a horse. Like, can you write code? And and that would be interesting. Well, that would be interesting from a theoretical standpoint. It wouldn't be a very good book. I wouldn't want to read it. Medieval warrior learns how to write Python. No, that I don't want to read that book. But I was thinking that maybe you get somebody who's living in a kind of post-apocalyptic Fallout style world, and he gets pulled into a separate kind of fantasy world where all of the scraping and scrounging and foraging and stuff that he does is worthless. None of the creatures that he knows how to track and hunt are in this new world. There's not such a scarcity of food that the ability to find it is any kind of great skill. And I thought that might be interesting. So I don't know. Maybe I'll approach that. That's a neat idea. But I don't know. Maybe I'll take a cut at writing the text for the visual novel that I'm going to do later on. Or maybe actually I've got several visual novels. So I could approach the text for any one of those. But that's a very different thing too, because when you're working with a visual novel, then you have like choices and whatnot. I don't know. I'm just kind of talking out loud about the stuff that I need to do. There's a serious sense of dread going into Inktober because it's a lot to bite off. It may be more than I can handle. So I don't know that this is going to go well. And I'll give you updates on how it's going, but I don't think I'm going to go into a lot of detail on any particular week. And one of these weeks, the detail might be, yeah, I said fuck Inktober and decided not to do it. That might be what goes on. I really would like to do it though, and I would like to get that stuff up on DeviantArt and feel like I'm actually getting somewhere. Really not sure what to do for some of these. They don't make a whole lot of sense. I was thinking about maybe it might be interesting to combine some of these to like do a kind of thing where I go, okay, let's take those first 7 and we'll try to combine them. We'll try to make all of these 7 elements part of one piece that I do over the course of a week. And then you got 8 through 15, and you got 15, 21, and then 20, 28. Or maybe we want to divide it. Ugh. Or maybe we want to divide it into maybe we want to divide this into 10-day. You just like do a column at a time. I don't know. That might be interesting. Try to tell a story with them. Maybe reorganize them, rearrange them. I don't know. I really don't know. Yeah, anyway, that's where things are. That's the direction I'm going to be going with this, and I don't know that I have anything else meaningful to say tonight. So yeah, that I'm just going to go ahead and call it on the stream and do a little YouTube dance, like, comment, subscribe, all that happy horse shit, and okay, bye.